Hello and welcome back to RamsTalkPodcast. Well, it's 9 consecutive wins at Pride Park, 7 clean sheets, our best run since 1975. Joining me to get carried away tonight, firstly, Jacob Hackett. How are you, Jacob?
I'm great. I'm good. Feeling positive after another win.
You have to be. You have to be. Adam, feeling positive as well?
Yeah, feeling positive. Feels like we're starting to bed ourselves back into the Championship, back into the style of football, the style of play. So, yeah, it's good to see.
And we're also joined by Vic Singh. How are you feeling, Vic?
Yeah, buzzing. Nice to see another home win. Nice to see the 100% record at home still going. So, yeah, a good weekend all around.
Very true. We're live on YouTube and X. So if you've got any comments, you've got any questions for the guys tonight, then get them in. But firstly, Jacob, just want to come to you and talk about the lineup. So I think there was potentially a little bit of speculation. Will Mendez-Laing start? Obviously, he was over in South America on international break. He did start. I think it was probably a given that Paul Warne would go with the same team if he could, and he decided to do it. Were you surprised, or did you have that down that was going to be the starting 11?
No, I wasn't surprised. I think we've seen time and time again with Paul Warne. If his team wins a game, he sticks with that team unless he can't. So obviously Nat was deemed fit enough to play. I think you could tell he was maybe a little bit laggy. I think they're playing games over there in the early hours of the morning, then it's going to be tough for him to come back and play a full 90 at his usual level. So I wasn't surprised to see him start. Equally, I wasn't surprised to see him taken off a little bit earlier than normal. But no, I think I couldn't have imagined Warne going for a different side than what he did go for. I think even with the new signings, it's their job now to bed their way into the team. They've got to break into it, take the opportunity when they get it, because at the minute, there's no one that really needs dropping. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, and you've mentioned there the 2 new signings, obviously Harness and Phillips both on the bench. Ben Osborne was also back. There's some experience there in Osborne and Phillips. Would you have been tempted to put them in, Adam, if you were in the hot seat, or would you have gone with the same 11?
I think I would have gone with the same 11. I was quite relieved to see it was the same one as obviously what we put out against Bristol City, because I think that performance was pretty much a benchmark of how good we can be with this team and that side. So I think it was important we just kept it the same. I know obviously there was obviously I've mentioned Mendez-Laing going away on international break, but as long as our game management was spot on, then we'd be able to manage how many minutes he had. And I think he was effective yesterday with his runs and his pace. So yeah, I'm glad to see we picked the same 11. Obviously Sheffield United now the focus shifts to, which is a really difficult game. And I think we might have to manage that starting 11 a little bit differently to what we have at home, because we yet to see whether we can perform as well as we have done at home, away from home. We're known in recent years when Derby have been the Championship, kind of been a little bit Jekyll and Hyde, really good at home and then might have struggled away from home, especially in the years where we were struggling down there, the relegation zone, the division. So maybe I'd rotate that team and Sheffield United away with a little bit more game management in mind. If we can get a goal or chasing a goal, we need to be cautious of that. But yeah, I'm quite relieved he stuck with the same 11. I think it's important we have that solidity and just a bit of form going forward at home.
Yeah, Vic, and it's important to have quality on the bench, isn't it? It's important to have depth. How important will that be throughout the season to have the likes of Nat Phillips, Ben Osborne, Kane Wilson, Corey Blackett-Taylor, on the bench, on the fringes of the team? How important will that be?
Yeah, I mean, like we said before, it's a squad game and every player's got a part to play this season. One thing we didn't have last year was actually squad depth, and we thought that if one player did get injured, who would we likely put in to replace them? This year, especially now, we're looking at potentially David Ozil being injured for the best part of a few weeks. You're looking at your midfield options and thinking who can slot in. We've got a couple of options there, which is nice. So squad depth is going to be key this year, because it's a long slog in the Championship. It's quite relentless when it gets to Saturday, Tuesday. You're playing games back to back, and no game's easy in the Championship, especially for a newly promoted side. So the squad depth is going to be key. It's nice to see we've got options all across the field. I mean, even to the point of up top as well. We know Jerry Yates is performing really well, but you've got Dejan Brown, who seems to be included in the squad as well. So it's going to be key this season. I think if we're going to have any sort of success, which is anything above 21st, 22nd, then yeah, we're going to need the entire squad to really play their part this year.
Yeah, agreed. And let's get on to yesterday. It was a bright start, Jacob. It almost felt like with the fans and almost kind of that week that we've had to get excited about seeing this Derby County team again. It was loud in the stands and the players came out. And there's a bit of confidence, I feel, at the moment, especially at Pride Park. How do you think we started the game?
Yeah, I think it was a really bright start. I think there's been a few games recently. I mean, even the Bristol game, if you look back to that, we weren't brilliant in the first 10, 20 minutes. And we had to kind of cling on a little bit thanks to some brilliant saves from Zetterstrom and some good defending in the, opening stages. And then we really kicked into gear. But against Cardiff, we were the better team from the start. We did start on the front foot and we had plenty of chances. We could have killed the game off a little bit better than we did. We didn't really kill it off. I'm not going to talk about the effort at the end just yet. I want to avoid that. But there are a few chances we had to make it 2-0 or 3-0. And it was just, I think overall, I know you mentioned just the start of the game, but I just think the whole game, the whole game was a good performance because the defensive, resilient at the back. Going forward, we looked bright. We created chances. The team seemed to be ticking over really nicely now. And I think it has a lot to say for Paul Warne in terms of this is now Paul Warne's team. With Paul Warne's signings, the majority of them are his additions now. And we're starting to see it really come together. And I'm hoping that this is the start of, a normality. This is a normal Paul Warne team is what I'm hoping.
We'll get on to individual performances a little bit later, but if we look at the team performance, Adam, we're starting to see some synergy. We're starting to see some relationships being built up. I'm thinking of Mendes Lang and Jerry Yates in the first half, their little flicks round the corner. They just knew that one another were going to make that run. We're starting to see that, aren't we? We're starting to see relationships kind of build across the team. Obviously, Cashin and Nelson, that they had that relationship last year, but that midfield, it was always going to take a little bit of time to gel.
Yeah, I think it wasn't, in contrast to Blackburn away, I think it's a big improvement, isn't it? Like we're seeing now. And I think the link-up play is something that is really refreshing to see. It's something that we've not seen under Paul Warne yet. I think a lot of that could be down to Goudmijn and Jerry Yates with their movement and their ability to keep hold of the ball and take it out of tight situations. I think Goudmijn is a player who's probably 2 steps ahead of everyone on that football pitch, and the crowd as well. Half the time I go to look one way and he's played the ball the other, and you just don't think he can thread that ball through that area, but he does, and he manages it. And I think, it's really crucial, that link-up play. I think we saw it for that first goal, well, the goal of the game. Obviously, Callum, a player I've been impressed with so far this season, big improvement by him, and it's a good ball in. Obviously, try the first attempt and then get on the end of it, but I think just the link-up play that we've seen from that middle partnership going out wide, I think is really crucial, and it puts us on that level in the Championship, because I think in League One, it might not be so important that you have them one-touch passing moves. Obviously, it's a lot more direct in that league, but in this division, you have to be on that level. Obviously, we're coming up against Sheffield United away. You're a top team in this league. There's many others like it, and you have to be able to step up your game to match them. You have to be on the same wavelength, and we need players who can link up that well. And I think Goudmijn, he's highlighted as probably one of the better technically gifted players, but there's definitely more players around him on that pitch that can link up with him, and it's really refreshing to see us play that style of play.
And we don't seem so one-dimensional, do we, Vic? We've not just got one way of playing. We can play it wide. We can play into Yates, and he can flick and kind of carry on. It seems like this Paul Warne team, there's multiple ways that they can play. And actually, for the opposition, that's going to be tricky to understand, really, what we're going to do.
Yeah, exactly. And it goes back to looking at that number 9 position. I think Jerry Yates does all that work off the ball. Okay, he hasn't scored yet, but if you look at the sort of effort he puts into the side, it links the entire team, and it sort of shows the flow that we've got going forward. So, yeah, I mean, it's good to see that link-up play. It's good to see that the players are developing the understanding. It's good to see a settled midfield. The last few games, you can see in the performances that we put in, that if the balance is right in midfield, we tend to dominate. And I think we did that against Bristol City. I think first off, definitely we did it against Cardiff yesterday. And again, it all comes down to these key partnerships, developing that style of play. I think we all assume that Paul Ward's football is sort of pragmatic, but we can see that he actually does want to try and play football with the players he's got at his disposal, with the likes of Goudmijn, the likes of Yates, and then you've got your fast wingers in Jackson and Mendes-Lang. So it's nice to see a different dimension to our play. It might rid that tag of us being a very sort of one-dimensional football team, and showing that we can actually hold our own in the Championship. So it's good to see that we can mix it up, because we're going to need to do it this season. We're going to play against a load of different teams where the styles may match one day, and then the next game it might be something else. So if we can vary our styles now, it'll put us in good stead for the future, and hopefully a good season in the Championship for us.
Yeah, Jacob, let's talk about Jerry Yates. He's a number 9. He wears the number 10, which confuses me, but obviously you can't get rid of the GOAT that is James Collins. So that shirt's going to be taken for the foreseeable future. But I feel he can do everything. He's an absolute complete forward. And I think the only thing that he hasn't done is obviously hit the back of the net. But we're not too bothered if he puts in the performances that he is. I mean, like I said there, he wears the 10 and he can drop into that zone and be able to pick a pass, as well as, run a channel, hold the ball up. How impressed have you been with Jerry Yates?
Yeah, I've been impressed. Obviously, you want your striker to be scoring goals, but the effort that he puts in, across the final third, it really helps the team. And you can see that sort of shift in performance from having him in the team compared to when he was suspended. The whole team seems to be a little bit, more energetic. There's more energy in that front line. And it's just really good to see. I think if he doesn't score for the next 4 or 5 games, but continues, with the same work ethic and playing like he has been doing, then no one's going to be complaining about the fact he's not hit the back of the net. And, unless he's missed a couple of absolute sitters and people are thinking, how on earth did he not put that in? But his performances at the moment are really good and show exactly why Warren wanted to sign him. I think you look at, he got quite a bit of stick at Swansea. He got double figures for them in the league, but it's still quite a lot of stick. And he came to Derby with Swansea fans and other fans sort of saying not to expect much and that we should have low expectations. It wasn't a signing that excited, neutral fans. But no, I think he has been a really smart and shrewd addition, especially on loan. So it'll be interesting to see how we use him for the rest of the season now. I think it's important that he stays fit. I think if he's not part of the starting 11 moving forward, he does pick up a knock, then we might be in a little bit of trouble, because I don't think the strikers we have off the bench offer the same type of performance. I don't think not really have a similar player on the bench. Collins is completely different. Brown's a young lad just trying to find his feet. Washington, I'm not sure if he's going to be involved at all, to be honest, up until January. So yeah, I think if he can keep playing the way he has been doing, then we're pretty happy with him there up top.
Yeah, I think we've got some pivotal players in this team that if they get injured, you would worry. One of them is Jakob Vidal Zetterstrom. I hope I've said his name right. Adam, you'll be able to correct me. But there was that chance yesterday. Well, the chance for Cardiff. It was a poor back pass by Cashin. And Zetterstrom came out and he went down for a second. And I just thought this could be a problem, because he was quite gingerly kind of getting up. I'm not sure if he took a bit of a kick. He's been an absolute revelation. I think we've looked at him coming in, and there was talk, obviously, with Josh Vickers playing so well in the game that he played before Zetterstrom came in. But he's been fantastic again, and again fantastic yesterday, Adam.
Yeah, I think regarding that challenge after, I thought if he was a defender, it would be a superb 50-50 ball win. But the sound of the ball hitting both defenders' foot made me cringe a little. It sounded a very, very solid one. But I think in goal, a good goalkeeper wins you a couple of extra points this season, doesn't it? Especially in this division, when I think the standard of football is going up each year and year, and goalkeepers have to be better with their feet and all those other things. But I think just a really good shot stopper in goal and somebody who's confident is. I don't think I've seen a goalkeeper's confidence in the last 10 years like Zetterstrom's. I think it's on a different level, but not one of arrogance, which is nice to see as well. And I think for me, the standout moment yesterday was that saving the first half from the corner. I think the quick reaction to palm it away and then also to follow up to make the second save is really key. And I think he's growing with confidence each game. And I'm sure at some point a couple of goals will fly past him, but there's some very good teams in this division. And he's doing very well at the moment for a new signing coming in and settling down. So long may it continue, as Vic would say. Stealing Vic's quote there, as it just came into my head. But yeah, he settled in really well. He's performing superbly, and I think it's going to be a big test in the next couple of games coming up against some really, really quality opposition.
He stole your thunder there, Vic. You were getting ready to use that line, weren't you?
I'm seething.
It's all right, mate. It's your line. You can say it whenever you want. Let's have a little look at YouTube. So Jim's put good first half, slightly laboured second half. Kenzo, Elder, Yates, 8.5s. Team with a solid performance. David said, even lads, I'm about to emigrate to Thailand. Going to miss the mighty Rams. I definitely miss the mighty Rams as well, but Thailand is pretty cool. So all the best there, David. Good vibes in the squad and crowd. Zetterstrom is proving to be a beast. Pride Park, 10 out of 10. Jake with a bit of slander of me because he's in the comments. How you doing, Jake? Hope you're enjoying your holiday. A question Jake's asked Vic, and I'll put it to you. He said, how do we get the best out of players like Goudmijn when we're away from home? Is it a system change? Is it a change of philosophy? What do you think?
I think, again, it depends on the personnel available. If we are looking at Ozo being injured until the international break, naturally you'd think that we'd probably play... You'd think Osborne would slot in. For me, I just think Osborne's a bit too lightweight, especially away from home. I think if we're going to play away from home, we need a lot of grit, a lot of battle, a lot of physicality in the middle. So Ibe will play. For me, I'd probably go with a system change. I think maybe revert to a back three, maybe sort of compact that midfield, get an extra midfielder in then, and see what we could do. Maybe a 3-4-3 might suit us a bit better away from home. I just think that if we're looking to be solid away, especially when we're still conceding chances, that might be the best way to get players like Goudmijn involved in sort of giving them the option to really unlock the defences. And then we can still keep that sort of similar shape with obviously Yates still being the focal point and then Mendes-Lang and Jackson either side. So I think a 3-4-3 away from home might suit us better at the moment, especially considering the potential injuries that we do have. But yeah, I'd probably say a system change would probably do, because we've seen that, especially when we was at Blackburn, I think parts of Watford as well, Goudmijn did go a bit missing, just because I think away from home it's a bit more difficult to sort of play your football, whereas at Pride Park we're the team in the ascendancy. So I think a system change will probably come in, especially with the addition of Nat Phillips. I think that to me clearly indicated that we may look at a back three in the future. So away from home, it could be an option if we're looking at trying to get our luxury players involved. But we'll see what happens. I don't know if Paul will change the winning side at the moment, because the confidence is it's coming out of the lads in abundance. So hopefully this good form can continue. Long may it continue at home, but let's try and get this form to continue away as well.
Now, I guess the pressure isn't as much, is it, Jacob? Away from home, when you've picked up results at home and you're getting results and everything's looking quite good. Look, we want to win every game we play, but going away to Sheffield United now, if we can nick a point, that would be an absolutely amazing return. 6 games in, staying around where we are in the table. I feel like maybe the team will just kind of play a bit more confident because we know that we can turn it on at home. How do you feel that one's going to go in terms of formation, in terms of personnel?
It's a tricky one, to be fair. I mean, obviously there's going to have to be changes to the starting 11 due to Ozo's injury, but regardless of whether it's home or away, we've won back-to-back games in the Championship, for the first time since promotion. So there's going to be confidence there, regardless of where we're playing. But Sheffield United are a pretty strong team. They're a team that are going to go at us for what I imagine probably will be 90 minutes. So I think a system change probably could be the wise call. We've seen Warren use 3 at the back so often. We've seen a 3-4-3 before. We've seen 3-5-2 before. I think bringing in Nat Phillips, a player with Nat Phillips' quality as a centre half, you're not bringing him in to be on the bench. And Paul Warner's said so many times throughout any transfer window that if he brings a player in, it's because he believes that player is better than someone they've already got in the team. So I'm not sure if maybe as the season progresses, Phillips might become a pairing with Nelson or Cashin. Maybe Nelson because of the experience that you need in the Championship. I'm not sure. But if it's a back three, then I think Phillips just slots right in. We saw it against Bristol City. He came off the bench. He was the central of the back three. He was a middle defender, and he looked all right. He didn't have too much to do, to be fair. But I think playing a team that are going to press us as much as Sheffield United will, it would probably be wise to have that little tweak of formation ahead of heading to Bramall Lane. Yeah.
Ozo obviously picked up an injury. Adam, he looked in some discomfort when he was laying on the ground. Looks like a hamstring. Obviously, hamstrings, they can be, well, it can be a number of weeks, really. And it's probably going to take him to the next international break. He was just starting to form that relationship, wasn't he, with Adams in the centre there. And he put in 2 really good performances at home. Do you think we miss him? Do you think Osborne will be able to do what Ozo did if it's a like-for-like swap in there?
I think we will miss him in the way that we've seen how good he can be with his feet. David Ozo, when he gets the ball, he can get out of tricky situations and he can change us from being defensive to attacking. And I think that's really key. I'm not saying Ben Osborne can't do that, but Ben Osborne's a different type of player. Ben Osborne's definitely... he works hard, chases everything down. He's got that quality that obviously has warranted him to play in the Premiership before for a couple of seasons and at the top end of the Championship. But he's a different type of player. I think away from home, I think I said before on a different podcast, I probably wouldn't mind Ben Osborne coming in, a player that can win the ball back, can carry the ball a little bit as well. And we know how good he is down that left-hand side. So I think if he does come into that middle partnership, obviously... he's not got the link up that Ozo and Adams have had together recently at home, but I think he offers a little bit more of that game management and that defensive play that we might have to do coming up against such quality opposition as Sheffield United. So I think he'll offer something different to Ozo, and it might even have been one that maybe we would have made that change regardless with the opposition we're coming up against and the fact that we might not be able to play as comfortable as we have been at home and as dominating at home as we have been. So I think he's going to do a good job in there if he does come in. He's putting that middle three, and I think he's going to do well going up to face his old employers.
Did you just say you're on a different pod?
No, I meant on a previous podcast. For
Oh,
no,
okay.
when I said that, I thought, yeah, it sounds like
Where have you been, Adam? You've been cheating on us.
No, never.
Vic, I wanted to come to you. I've wanted to come to you to talk about Elder because you put it in the group chat earlier. He has been amazing this season. Rightly got the man of the match yesterday. We keep talking about him because he keeps getting better every week. We will continue to keep talking about Callum Elder because he keeps getting better. Yesterday, he was absolutely fantastic. If you look at the goal, you know, it's smart link-up play, like we've already talked about, Jerry Yates with the flick. And it is a vintage Craig Forsyth left-footed whip that's across the box, across the 6-yard box. Jackson does really well, and it's simple for Kenzo. He's a fantastic player, but I think all of us probably could have knocked that one in. I'm just trying to remember previously whether we've seen a player go from 0 to hero this much. I think we've had maybe 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10s that have then gone on to deliver 8, 9s out of 10s consistently. But I can't remember a player like Elder who's done this. I'm not sure if you can. That's putting you on the spot. Jacob and Adam, have a think about if you can raise any names. But it's quite incredible his glow up, isn't it, Vic?
Yeah, I mean, with Callum Elder, fair play to him. It's been a resurgence for him. I think he's really made that left back position his own. I think there's a number of factors at play here. I think with Callum Elder, I think he's more suited to Championship football, and I think because the standard's a lot better, his caliber of player suits the style of the Championship. So I think that's why he's flourished. Another reason for me is the Nyambe being on the other side. So with Nyambe obviously not bombing forward as much as Elder would, it allows Elder to be more free in terms of being an attacking prowess. Nyambe will sit in a back three, almost like a makeshift back three when we're attacking. So it allows Elder to be more comfortable on the ball and just play his game. But even defensively, Elder's not put a foot wrong. He seems to track back and win every tackle. There's a specific. I don't think he got a block to it, but it was just enough to put the striker off when he got through 1-on-1, and he just smashed it wide in the first half. That's the Callum that we want to see, and I think that's what we expected that we'd sign last year. It's nice to see that he's had a resurgence. I think if I was to compare it to sort of club, like you said, I remember a certain player playing up front called Chris Martin that we signed in on loan, did score a goal for us prior to signing permanently, and then look what happened afterwards. So the resurgences can happen at Derby. Mendes Lang's another one. Before he'd even signed for us, everyone wrote him off as a bad egg, and look at him, he's revived his career as well. So yeah, I think Derby've got a bit of a knack of doing that, but it's really nice to see Callum Elder really doing well, and I'm really glad he got man of the match yesterday because he got the assist, and he seems to be going from strength to strength every week. So it's really good to see him perform well, and long may his good form continue.
There you go, Adam. That's 2-1. So you can't score again now. He's outdone you in that regard. Jacob, I'm just thinking about maybe players that haven't got the recognition. I know that we talk about Callum Elder and we talk about Jerry Yates, we talk about Kenzo. Is there someone that you think hasn't got the credit, maybe on this podcast, maybe on social media, that's a bit of an unsung hero in this opening season?
I think Ryan Nyambe is got to be one of them. I think, though, there has been quite a lot of love for him recently on social media. So I think everyone's in the same sort of mindset as he should get more love. And that's becoming quite common, seeing a little tweet about Nyambe from a few different people after each game at the minute. But I think he's a fantastic player. He's a solid 7 out of 10 minimum every game. He doesn't put a foot wrong. He's just a really brilliant right back. And the fact that we picked him up on a free is ridiculous. The fact that he didn't find a championship club before dropping down to League One with us. The fact that he couldn't, a club in League One maybe didn't even sign him and offer him a higher wage and get him before he came to us. And then to extend his deal, we extended his deal quite early, didn't we? We had him on a 6-month deal or something like that, and then extended it quite early because he's just a really, really good player. And I think obviously can slot into the right side of a back three as well. So he is quite versatile. I think he maybe doesn't offer as much as Wilson in the wing-back role in terms of with the ball at his feet going forward, but he does exactly what's asked of him week in, week out. And I think for me, Nyambe is actually one of my favourite players at the moment. So he'd be my candidate for that.
Adam, any advances on that?
No, I think I just have to agree with Jacob on that. I think he's coming to the side, obviously, with Kane Wilson dropping out of the starting 11. He's just been so solid, hasn't he? Since coming in, might not be the most attacking player, but you don't always need that from a defensive fullback. You need some solidity down there to give the onus of the other side to go forward. So yeah, just reiterate everything Jacob said. Really, there.
Vic, you got to give me another name.
I've got a name for you. Caden Jackson. Now, why nobody isn't talking about Caden Jackson, I'm quite surprised. I think the contribution he's put to this team in the last 5-6 games, you can see the difference he makes on that right wing, and even playing on the left, you can see the interchange between him and Mendes Lang. And we're talking about partnerships, the understanding between them two as well. It's really key. We thought Mendes and Barkhausen had that last season. This season, it's Jackson and Mendes, and Jackson's work rate is second to none. He's always up and down that wing. When we need to defend, he's always one of the players there ready to clear that ball, pick up the ball and run. You can see he makes these clever runs as well. He's got the pace, he's got everything, and he's adding goals to his game now as well, which a lot of fans did write him off for. So I think Caden Jackson is a bit of an unsung hero for me, just purely because we're seeing the work rate that he puts in. He's adding goals to his game. He's making that wing, he plays either wing now, doesn't he? So he's making that position his own as well. He's really put a statement in on. He's put his foot on the team. He's really put his stamp on the team. That's what I'm trying to get. I got there eventually. Put his stamp on the team. So yeah, I'm really glad to see Caden Jackson's doing really well as well.
Yeah, and I guess this is the thing. If we change to a 3 at the back, then someone is going to miss out. And right now, you look at the top end of the pitch and you think, who should that be? And I think everyone would probably be quite upset that they'd miss out. But of course, it's a team game, and everyone needs to play their part. But I agree. I think Caden Jackson's been really good. He had that chance again yesterday. He could have scored again, which would have been absolutely crazy and would have made Adam smile because he had that rogue suggestion that he's going to be our top scorer, which, yeah, still might come true, I guess. Obviously, we've got the game to preview. We've already talked about it. We've talked about Sheffield United away, a tough place to go. They're a very good side. We've talked about potentially what we need to do in terms of formation, in terms of personnel. But really, how do we go and get something from that game, Jacob? I guess looking at the whole pie, really, not looking at just formation and personnel. How do we go and get a result there?
I think we just have to go there and dig in deep, make ourselves horrible to play against. Just a really sort of rigid performance at the back. I think we need numbers at the back. That's why I wouldn't be surprised to see that 3-4-3 come out with wing backs and maybe two deeper midfielders sort of thing. That if we go there and get a point, everyone's happy. I mean, I'd snap your hand off for a point now, because even if we lost, I wouldn't be disappointed, because we've had a good start to the season in my eyes, regardless of if we win, lose or draw against Sheffield United. So I'd obviously not want us to lose, but if we did, I wouldn't be necessarily upset by it. I think a point would be great, and if we could win, then that would be fantastic. But I think in order to leave Bramall Lane and head back to Derby with some kind of point on the board, it's going to have to really be focused on our defensive work, defensive shape. And that's been a quality, a strength of ours under Paul Warne, realistically, since he came in. You know, he had a brilliant record last year at the back. At home, we've continued that brilliant record defensively. So now, if we can go and show what we can do away from home, especially against a team who I think are going to be up there this season in Sheffield United, then it'll be a pretty positive, it can only be a positive performance if we can show off that capability. But yeah, I think it's going to be one where we might have to, almost Middlesbrough-esque, on the counter. We might need to rely on a little mistake and pounce on it. But I think there's a chance, there's always a chance. And I just think it all relies, like I've said 18 times now, on the defensive shape against Sheffield United.
And Adam, do you want to see us play like that? Do you want us to sit back, to play on the counter? Jacob's obviously mentioned there the Middlesbrough game where we were obviously waiting for them to make a mistake before kind of pouncing. I think the last two games at home, I think we have been a bit more expansive. We have taken the game a little bit more to the opposition. So there's two ways I guess we can play. The argument will be that maybe if we play the way we played yesterday, we could get picked off in certain areas. But how would you like to see us play? Are we going there trying to nick something? Are we going there to maybe play and take it to them?
I think we'd be a little bit naive to try and play the expansive way we've played at home the last couple of games, because I think Sheffield United could hurt us with the quality they've got. And if they did that the way that we've tried to play in the last couple of games, then it could really knock a couple of players' confidence. So for me, I agree with Jacob and just try and sit in deep, use the set pieces that we know we're so good at in the air, and just see if we can build something on the counter attack. I think if we tried to go player for player against Sheffield United in terms of the quality that they've got, I'm not saying that we could match them and play some good football. I think we'd be in for quite a high scoring game, but it could be the worry that it could be the wrong way. So for me, I think, yeah, let's try and take something from Sheffield United, whether it be a point or more, and just try and be defensively solid and try and take something from it. Because I think the last thing we want is to go there, try and play the football we've played at home, be a little bit expansive, and ship 4 goals like we did away at Blackburn. So I think as long as we can go there and try and play for something, even if it means that it's not the prettiest of football at times, then so be it. And as long as we can try and come away with something, I think that's a big positive for us at this stage of the season.
Yeah, agreed. And I think we've got the chance to go there and try and have a go at some point. I don't think anyone looks at us and thinks that we're going to go and get a result there. But who knows? Confidence is quite clearly flowing through this Derby team now. Vic, I'll come to you with a score prediction. Well, I'll come to all of you with score prediction, but I've left it 34 minutes, and it's my last thing I want to talk to you about before I go on to the score predictions. But we've got to talk about that chance, that miss Ibe Adams yesterday. I wasn't going to mention it. I was going to kind of just leave it, but I think we've got to talk about it. It's the elephant in the room. What I would start by saying is echoing what Paul Warne said. There's only one man that was ever going to get to that ball and have that chance, and that was Ibe Adams. But it was quite a shocking miss, wasn't it, Vic?
Yeah, I mean, you feel sorry for him because he does all the hard work of literally sprinting from his own 8-yard penalty area, wins the ball in the midfield from the keeper, or he could have literally walked the ball into the net. He didn't even have to shoot as early as he did. But I think, to be fair to him, he's probably knackered. He's had a very high energy game where he's had to put a lot of tackles in. His work rate was quite high, so you can let him off for that. It is probably one of the worst misses we'll ever see at Pride Park. So I'm sorry, Ibu, but that's going to stick to you probably for the rest of your career now. But we'll let you off as well because you put a good shift in yesterday, and it's just one of those things. It would have been easy for him to just walk the ball into the net. Or even he could have took a couple of touches before even smashing it into the net. The keeper wasn't coming. The keeper had lied down, already face down in the centre circle. He probably thought, yeah, 2-0 now. Never mind, it happens. It's football. It's a typical Derby County thing to happen, but don't worry, Ibu. You'll score next time. Just make sure you take your time next time.
Well, we know he only scores worldies after his goal against, was it Blackpool last year at home? That was Blackpool, wasn't it? And then his a goal this season against Watford. Jacob, would you have scored it, do you think?
Judging off how I played it. You'll say judging off how I played in the podcast match that we had a while back with FanHub. Probably not. I probably would have gassed out just before the halfway line from the end of the penalty area. So I'll say no. I understand what Ibu's gone through there.
Yeah, and Adam, as long as he's still smiling, that's important. I was really worried that he was actually going to be really upset about it, and it would kind of the camera would pan to him, and we'd see him actually looking sad for the first time ever.
No, I'm glad he's still smiling. Can hopefully see the funny side of it because I think I just laughed when he missed it because I think I probably would have tripped over my own feet on the halfway line if the goal was open. So can understand his feeling.
Well, Paul Warne took it with a bit of humour as he normally takes everything, to be honest, and said that he's probably going to play some circus music in the canteen or around Moor Farm. So yeah, there'll probably be some content on that next week, no doubt. But yeah, like we said before, there's only one man that was ever going to get into that position, and that was Ibe Adams because he's a 90-minute man and just endeavour. I think that just sums him up, doesn't it? And yeah, hopefully he can be on the score sheet next week and all is forgotten. Well, let's get your score predictions then. Jacob, starting with you, what are you going for?
I'll go for 1-1 and I'll snap your hand off for 1-1 as well.
And who do you think is going to be your goal scorer?
Kenzo Goudmijn, 3-3. Keep it going.
Again. Adam?
I was going to say 1-1, but I'll be different and go for a 2-2. One where we chase the game but come back into it both times. So yeah, I'll say that, and probably Caden Jackson to keep up my prediction, and maybe a Sonny Bradley header in the dying embers of the game to salvage a point for us.
If Sonny Bradley gets on, I'm wondering what's happening on the pitch. Unless we're playing a 3, I guess I'd wonder what's happening. But yeah, okay, 2-2. So Vicky, going to go 3-3?
Nah, I'm going to go and be a bit more optimistic. I think we're going to get a 2-1 win over there. I think we'll score early on. They'll get an equaliser at half-time. And Jerry Yates is going to go up and get the winner in the 88th minute. So, yeah, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. Our first goal, we'll go with the Jackson goal to open it.
Very optimistic indeed. I'm going to agree with Jacob. I'm going to go 1-1. I think Jerry Yates is going to get his first goal in a Derby County shirt. But yeah, I don't think we're going to get anything more than the point. And to again echo what Jacob said, I'd take that definitely to get a point there. But I think it's worth saying, look, the last 2 games have shown that we can play entertaining football. The fans have been brilliant. We're getting results. Paul Warne has to get some credit. I know at times this year that Paul Warner's has potentially got a bit of flack in terms of his style of play and maybe his experience, but he's got a group of players playing together that are exciting the fans and picking up results. And yes, we're not getting carried away. There's still a long way to go. And as Vic always says, it's a marathon, not a sprint. But if you'd have offered us 8th place, I think we're 4 points off the top and 8 points off the bottom after 5 games, we'd absolutely snap your hands off. So yeah, long may it continue. Long may it continue. If you have enjoyed this podcast, go please rate it 5-star on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you get your podcast from. If you're listening, you can watch us on YouTube. If you're watching, you can listen to us if you wanted to do that as well. We've got a preview coming out for the Sheffield United game this weekend. Who's doing that one? Is it you, Jacob?
No, I did the last one.
No.
I did Cardiff.
Adam?
It's not me. Must be Callum.
One of us will be doing a preview for Sheffield United, and that will come out on Wednesday. So be sure to check that out and get a lowdown on the opposition. But it's only for me to say goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
On Sheffield United, goodbye from me.
Long may the good times continue. Goodbye from me.
See you next week.